so his wizardry can take over. Look at the names and that he's in company with. Who would ever thunk it? Jalen Brunson, not the fastest, but you know what he is? He's smart. He's shifty, he knows how to play, and he's made big shots, and he's been experienced from his college days. What an unbelievable series. And anybody that says to me that college basketball is better, and I love college basketball, is better than the league, that game today will let you know what the NBA is all about.
Yeah, it was a chippy matchup. I think going into the fourth, we saw 10 lead changes, 10 different ties. It was really fun to watch. Let's talk about the other team. It was a messy third quarter for Philly. There was a lot of turnovers there, and there was a point in the fourth, I want to say it was about a 5-minute span, where they didn't score a single point. So if Philly wants to get back in this series, what needs to change for them?
The toughness factor, Jacqueline. Again, as I mentioned before, you can't allow them to continue to get offensive rebound off the offensive rebound, not giving you an opportunity to score. And I think Tyrese Maxey has to ramp it up a little bit. They got to try to get to him. I know they're trying to move the ball around and find different guys. And Batum has not knocked down those three-point shots. And they got to get to the rim with a little more physicality. There were some key blocks as well by the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks turning Philadelphia the way they played on its head, and they became the aggressor. And you see right there, 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. If you want to beat a team who's the number 2 seed in the East, who had a great season with a great player like Jalen Brunson, that from the former MVP, who won't be the MVP this year, or the reigning MVP, cannot happen. Nick Nurse has got to figure this situation out, but you have to give it to the Knicks. They brought it. They came with physicality. They didn't worry about what happened in Game 3. And they actually took, game 3, and they took this game. They took this game from Philadelphia because it looked like Philadelphia, the way the Knicks were shooting the basketball, had this game in hand, and it just did not happen. And you know what, the last thing I'll say is this. I don't know if it was a Knicks game or a Philadelphia game. There were so many Knicks fans there. Every time the Knicks did something, if I turned my head for a second, I said, did Philadelphia score? And it'd be the Knicks. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that in Philadelphia that would be allowed to happen.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Knicks fans. We also, of course, saw Don Staley, big 76ers fan, being shown in the crowd quite a few times, a legend there in Philly. I want to talk more about Joel Embiid because we know he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He just dropped 50 in Game 3, also dealing with a Bell's palsy diagnosis right now as well. Are you concerned at all for his longevity? Because we saw him grab that knee a couple of times, and I'm nervous watching that, right? Anytime he tweaks his knee, I'm like, oh gosh, what's going to go on with Joel? Are you concerned at all for his physicality to come back from this 3-1 deficit against this Knicks team?
I certainly am. It's going to be a 7-game series if Philadelphia has any chance of winning the game and winning the series. And you know what, Philadelphia, they're going to have to continue to assert themselves. You got to go to New York now. That crowd is going to be nuts. They got a chance to clinch this series. And you got to ride Embiid. He is certainly capable. And there was no Mitchell Robinson out there today. And Hartenstein didn't get a foul in the first half and had 5 in the third quarter. So Precious Achiuwa had to play. And they just could not find a way. But the others, the Josh Harts, the Anunoby, they picked it up defensively against Joel Embiid. So Nick Nurse has got to figure out how do you get Joel Embiid in this game, because you see right there, they're coming with doubles. The other guys have got to make shots. Harris, you got Kelly Oubre, obviously, Kyle Lowry is a champion. He's been there before, but Batum, he was key in making threes. That has not happened. New York has made adjustments, but again, you asked me about the physicality, and can Joel Embiid shoulder the load going forward? If he doesn't, they can't win. They cannot win without Joel Embiid, and it's hard to say that for the next 3 games that he's going to be physical enough or he's going to have enough in the tank to get it done. It's going to be tough. I like the Knicks. I can't believe I'm saying this. You see behind me, I got Allen, I got Doctor, I got Wilt, and I got to go with the Knicks. I can't believe it.
Yeah, Chris, I just want to talk more about Philly here because, again, they have never won a best-of-7 series when they're down 3-1, and this is a franchise that is really looking to get over that hump and win a championship, and they might get bounced here in the first round. You said you like the Knicks. Just expand on that for us.
Listen, I'll say this, Jack. Very few teams, other than I think LeBron, has come back from 3-1. It's literally impossible to come back when they have you like that. And again, the Knicks are going to get 2 home games out of this, and that's the other thing. So the Knicks have 2 games to clinch this series, and we're down 3-1. It's just literally tough to come back game after game. Now, again, you're talking about a team with the reigning MVP. The question is, do they have enough around them? And it's, you know what? It's a 1-game series. I'm a big Laker fan. They're down to the Nuggets right now. You can say whatever you want. It's 1-game series. The next game on the schedule is the most important game on the schedule. You can't, sometimes when you're playing in games and you're down a bunch, you say, don't scoreboard watch. Don't look at it. Right now, don't series watch. It's game after game, adjustment after adjustment. But again, NBA history has shown that teams are down 3-1. It's 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Jacqueline, they're gone.
Cancun or the golf course, whatever you like. Chris Walker joining us here on HQ for a game for a recap from the Knicks and the Sixers, where the Knicks now have a 3-1 series lead. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it. And of course, taking a look at the remaining series schedule, Game 5 heads Nick Nurse at the podium right now after the loss. New York leads the series 3-1. Let's take a listen.
Got his share, but Precious came in there and got 4 and probably got his hands on 2 or 3 more. Certainly became a big factor in the 4th.
I guess like, what was there a moment in the second half where you were thinking about maybe getting Joel a little rest? What kind of was playing all the second half?
Yeah, he was feeling good and wanted to go. So I think it's, these games are all must win, and we didn't have a very good stretch when he was out in the first half, so we were willing to continue on.
To that point, Nick, I think both stretches this series where you played Joel and Brunson sat. Tonight they played you guys to a standstill. I think they might actually won the minutes in game 2. Why do you think you weren't able to capitalize with Brunson on the bench?
Well, we didn't shoot the ball very well tonight. And I thought once we got a 10-point lead, I think we turned it over 3 of the next 4 possessions. We had really great rhythm going, and it's almost like we took ourselves out of rhythm with those turnovers. We were really rolling there, and then it got a little difficult to find rhythm. And then, listen, we executed a lot of stuff that we were making the right reads on, and didn't knock some of those shots down. Missed a couple layups. There was some clunky possessions here or there, but that's playoffs. Both teams have those, but mostly just needed to knock a few of those in and finish a little tougher at the rim.
They put a Novi on Joel for a lot in the second half. How do you think that kind of messed with the offensive end?
I'm in Philly.
Isaiah Hartenstein with those 5 fouls in the third quarter, so they brought in as well and played small. Precious with a big block on Joel in the final couple of minutes. But Philly missed 10 field goal attempts in the closing minutes of that game. Were they just falling apart? Was it credit to the Knicks defense? How were they able to just close out it like they did?
Probably credit to the Knicks defense. I will say that along the playoff series with Joel Embiid being back and missing some of the second half of the season, fatigue could have been a factor down the stretch, so that could have had something to do with it. But I'm not going to take away from the Knicks doing what they've done well. So prior to the playoff series, they had been holding Philadelphia under 100 points consecutively. So they have guarded Philadelphia well. So I'm not going to take away from that. I'm going to give credit to where credit's due. Tibbs is a physical defensive guy. Those guys came through, and they made stops down the stretch, and they got it done.
But you also said even fatigue. When it comes to fatigue, Josh Hart is one of those guys that plays 48 minutes.
Yes.
48 minutes. It's something about when you're conditioned. This is playoff basketball. You always want to be ready. You want to be the person that survives. And knowing the way the condition that you were in as a player, you want to play 55, 60 minutes because you don't want to practice. Yeah. Nobody likes practice. They all want to play. But you got to give it to the Knicks, and you got to give it to Jalen Brunson. Oh my gosh. The little basically the littlest guy on the court, and you go, wow, look at him, taking him to the left, to the right. Okay, now you ain't gonna come out here. I'm going at you, Joel Embiid. And if you come on me, I'm coming going by you. I just love the way that he keeps movement on the game, but also able to make those passes and make those shots because it's starting to warm up. Remember this first game, he wasn't all that great, but this is something. When you see Jalen Brunson, 47 tonight, and it's like breaking records, but doing Jalen Brunson type basketball, just nasty, gritty, you know, that New York grit. Ugh. It's like, but it's still hot in Philly. It's hot.
Those 47 points, a new franchise playoff record. And we talked about this before we came on, you guys. Just throwback basketball a little bit. They made 7 total threes, 7 of 27 from the three. So they were getting work done inside. How great was it to see just this style of play for this playoff game?
I mean, everybody knows that in the playoffs, the game slows down. It's not a 140, 150-point game. So you look at a 97, 92-point game where it's possession basketball. You want to get a good shot every time. You want to make them work on defense every single time. And then it comes down to the stretch, and you want your stars to be stars and finish it out for you. So I think that's what the Knicks did. They stayed in the fight. They kept punching for 48 minutes, and down the stretch, they let their star finish the game for them. Jalen Brunson was big, making plays, creating, getting the switch on Embiid. If you're not going to come out here, I'm going to pull up. If I get downhill, I'm going to create. If I spray it, you better shoot it. If I don't spray it, I'm going up, and I'm going to be efficient tonight. And he did his job.
You got to also look at second chance opportunities.
Yes.
You got to see the way Josh Hart, 6'4".
Yes.
Getting there, getting gritty with it, rebound after rebound. It was like total team rebound, but it was Josh Hart who was just out there with the offensive second chance opportunities. Those are the things that you need to win basketball games, especially in the playoffs. And you just got to love it because they don't give up. They just stay out there and beat you and be grimy. I love it. I just love that kind of basketball.
I mean, to piggyback off that, 61 offensive rebounds in the first 4 games for the Knicks. So when you're trying to combat a guy like Joel Embiid who's going to go at your bigs and you're a big on the other side, I've been that guy. I've been the guy who's guarding the best player on the other team. I'm not going to get very shots. So the way I combat that, the greatest equalizer, get on the offensive glass, make them work. I'm going to get mine one way or another. And I think those guys did a great job, not just Josh Hart, but when Hartenstein was in the game, Precious Achiuwa, all those guys really did a good job of working the offensive glass and like getting those extra possessions. They've been doing that all 4 games.
And here's a big stat. The big stat that I look at, Joel Embiid didn't have one. He had 0 offensive rebounds. He's the biggest man on the court.
Yep.
And you understand, I mean, you know, the injuries do keep you away from certain things, but if you can't get second chance opportunities and you 7'2", 280, it's going to be a long night. That's why they can't get to over 100.
Fatigue could definitely start to set in for Embiid right now. Like I said, missing the second half of the season, coming in, playing as many minutes as he's playing, having to carry so much of a load offensively, scoring 50 last game. Fatigue can definitely be a factor.
It was the hustle of the effort, 15 offensive rebounds. Josh Hart just 4 points, but he had 17 total rebounds, 5 of them offensive, and they were able to get it done. But a big story, obviously, Jalen Brunson with his 47 total points. Here he is right after the big win. Little things, rebounding being one of them. UD, you said a great line the other night just about rebounding and how important it is. But 18-8, the Knicks out-rebounded the Sixers in the fourth quarter. Joel Embiid had just 1 rebound in those final 12 minutes. And, I mean, can you say that's kind of what helped win the game? They had all those extra possessions, all those offensive rebounds, and they were able to get more opportunities.
Definitely. In a possession game, extra opportunities definitely helps win the game. And no rebounds, no rings. That's what it comes down to.
There you go.
Shout out Precious Achiuwa, man, who didn't get very many minutes, but I'm an X-Factor guy, and he was a huge X-Factor tonight. Didn't score points, but had 7 rebounds, and 4 of those were offensive rebounds. So Miles McBride, another X-Factor guy, 13 points. So these X-Factors stepped up tonight. Your star was a star, and I think the Knicks got the kind of game they wanted.
They got it grimy. They like to keep it grimy, and I'm just impressed with the whole aspect of the game. Even though when the Knicks were down 10 points in the first period, it was like, okay, game's not over. It's still got 36 minutes after this. But as you look at it, they scored 30 in the second, kind of brought it to a 2-point game, and the next thing you know, 30 in the third. But it's that critical fourth quarter where Jalen Brunson can just start taking over, and like you said, the others. Yes. And look, they only went 7 deep because Bogdanovich got hurt. He was just as soon as he got in the game, he got up. So when you got the grit that they have, I mean, it was just grimy. And then you got the fans. It's like, man, you're playing on that wave, and as they started to generate the momentum, it was a great game.
It was like a boxing match. It was like a boxing match when you see two heavyweight fighters throwing body blow after body blow after body blow. And I think ultimately New York thinks they're the tougher team. I think they can withstand and outlast those guys for 48 minutes.
It's a mental game. No Bogdanovich, no Mitchell Robinson for this game either, and they had no answer for Jalen Brunson either. Let's see if Nick Nurse has a couple answers after this one. Here he is talking to the media.
What slipped in that category tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it was I thought OG and Precious and those guys were really a factor. They were both, very energetic, very athletic, getting their hands on some balls. Hart, obviously got his share, but Precious came in there and got 4 and probably got his hands on 2 or 3 more. Certainly became a big factor in the fourth.
I guess like whether was there a moment in the second half where you were thinking about maybe getting Joel a little rest? I mean, what kind of been playing all the second half?
Yeah, I mean, he was feeling good and wanted to go. So I think it's these games are all must win, and we didn't have a very good stretch when he was out in the first half, so we were willing to continue on.
To that point, Nick, I think both stretches this series where you played Joel and Brunson sat. Tonight they played you guys to a standstill. I think they might actually won the minutes in game 2. I guess, why do you think you weren't able to capitalize with Brunson on the bench?
Well, we didn't shoot the ball very well tonight, and I thought once we got a 10-point lead, I think